Welcome back to the Caretakers Journey podcast. I'm Carole, your host, and today I'm coming to you from Orlando, Florida. Well, actually, Kissimmee, Florida. We made it, guys. We are here, and we are actually Florida residents. We spent the morning at the Florida version of the DMV, got our driver's licenses, and registered our cars. And we're getting settled into the rental house where we'll stay for 2 months while we looked for homes and condos to purchase. Today is a tender day. It's not about fixing ourselves. It's not about striving harder. It's not even about promising to do better tomorrow. Today is about grace. It's about the guilt that we carry, the words we wish we could take back, the moments you and I snapped because we were exhausted, the days we weren't patient, we weren't kind, we weren't gentle, even though we wanted to be. It's about that inner critic that replays our most worst moments on a loop. The voice that whispers, you should have handled that better. If you were more faithful, you would not fail like this. Caretaking is hard, and we're human. And today, I want you to hear me clearly. God's grace is bigger than our imperfections. We are not disqualified because we're tired. We are not a failure because we had a hard day. We are not a disappointment because we didn't respond perfectly. God knew exactly who he was calling when he entrusted this season to you and I. So take a deep breath. You do not have to defend yourself today. You don't have to prove anything. Let's rest in grace together. I love the phrase, new mercies every morning. Lamentations 3 was written in the middle of devastation. Jeremiah wasn't sitting in comfort when he wrote those words. He was grieving pain, loss, destruction, exhaustion. And right there in despair, he declares, because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed. His mercies are new every morning. That means grace doesn't wait for you to get it right. Grace meets you and I where we are. God does not ask us as caretakers to be perfect. He invites us to be dependent. Let me share 3 truths with you about grace for caretakers. 1, this is important. You will not do everything right, and God knows that already. There is no version of caretaking where we never mess up. There is no path where we always say the right thing, stay calm, or respond with endless patience. God knew our limits before we ever reached them. He doesn't love us less on the days that we lose our patience. He doesn't withdraw when we cry in the bathroom. He doesn't keep score of our failures. Psalm 103 tells us that God remembers that we are dust. It says this, you are human, and God is not surprised by that. A second truth is this, God's mercies reset daily. Grace is not something you earn by having a good day. Grace is something God gives us every morning. Yesterday does not get to define today. Last night does not get the final word. Our worst moments are not our identity. Every morning, God says, okay, let's begin again. We get a fresh start, even if yesterday was messy, even if yesterday still aches, even if yesterday ended in tears. Grace is God saying, you are not consumed. Finally, God uses imperfect people for his perfect purpose. Every person God has ever used was imperfect. Moses had a temper. David failed morally. Peter denied Jesus. Martha worried too much. And yet, God worked through them. Our flaws do not disqualify us. Our humility attracts God. Grace is not permission to fail. Grace is freedom after failure. Grace lifts our head and reminds us, I'm still with you. Let me share with you a story a caretaker once shared with me, and it's never left my heart. She had been awake all night with her mom, medications, confusion, restlessness. By morning, she was beyond exhausted. Her mother asked a simple question, and instead of responding gently, the words came out sharp, short, and harsh. The moment passed, but the guilt didn't. She said it replayed in her mind all morning. She felt like she had failed, not just as a caretaker, but as a daughter. You ever felt like that? I know I have. Finally, she went back into her mother's room with tears in her eyes, and she said, "I'm sorry. I was tired, but that was not an excuse. I shouldn't have spoken to you that way." She braced herself for disappointment, for hurt, for silence. Instead, her mother reached for her hand and said, "You're doing your best, and I love you." That apology healed something deeper than the moment itself. It restored connection between the mother and the daughter. It released the shame that the daughter was feeling. And here's what I want you to hear me say today. God says the same thing to you and I. You are doing your best, and God says, "I love you." Grace changes everything. Here's a tip for you. Today's caretaker tip is very simple, but it's very powerful. Practice grace statements. The words you speak to yourself matter. Try these. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm forgiven. I'm doing the best I can. I released yesterday. Choose one of those or pick your own and write it down on a Post-it note. Put it somewhere that you're going to see it every morning. Let grace be the first voice you hear, not criticism. So let's take a little mini vacation that I like to call the Mercy Dawn. It's guided pacing. What's that? Well, let's do it. Close your eyes. Slow your breathing. Inhale grace. Exhale guilt. We might need to inhale grace again. Exhale guilt. Picture a sunrise, soft, warm, quiet, no rush, no demands. Imagine that light is washing over you. As it does, let it dissolve yesterday's regrets. Let it soften your heart. Now see Jesus standing right in front of you and hear him say, "Today is new." Now whisper out loud or in your heart, "I receive your grace." Stay in that vision with Jesus as long as you need. Lord, thank you for fresh mercies every morning. Thank you that we are not consumed by our failures. Heal our hearts from perfectionism, guilt, and harsh self-judgment. Help us release yesterday and receive today. Cover us in grace where we feel weakest. Teach us to speak to ourselves the way you speak to us, with love, patience, and mercy. We rest in your faithfulness. Amen. Here's your purpose challenge for the day. Let go of one regret. Name it. Write it on a Post-it note. Release it. Maybe you need to crumple that Post-it note up and throw it in the trash. Maybe you need to take a match and go outside and burn it. But let go of one regret today and replace it with a grace statement. What I did, I wrote my regret on a Post-it note, and then I took my favorite color and favorite shaped Post-it note, and I replaced it with a great statement, and I just stuck it right over the top. I put, "I'm walking in mercy." But you could put, "You're not behind. I'm not failing." I put, "I'm walking in mercy." Friend, grace is not something we run out of. It's renewed every morning, just like you. You don't have to be perfect to be faithful. You just have to be willing to receive grace. I am so honored to walk this journey with you. Until tomorrow, be gentle with yourself. But remember, grace is already waiting in the morning. I'll see you tomorrow. And until then, it's all about him.